cares?
Yeah, we know.
I don't care if you like me or not.
We know.
I don't care.
We know.
I don't care. You can't beat me. So, I mean, whatever, unless you're Michigan, unfortunately, because they seem to be able to do that pretty easily. Not easily.
Look,
but
Rashad got up and walked away. That take was so silly. We got to take a break.
He was completely interested for a while. I saw it.
Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us to talk Carolina Panther football after a very eventful week. That's up next. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live read, and then we're coming right back with Rashad. Y'all stay right there. Rashad, what's up, fella?
What's going on, guys?
How we doing, partner?
Good.
Glad to hear it.
I like Zoe's take, by the way.
What's that?
I like Zoe's take, by the way. Get him out of here, man.
Bro, come on. My man, you're telling me you lose to the rival, but you win the natty. You're letting go of the dude?
I like that energy.
Rashad, I need you to, whatever you did before the show, I need you to not do it before the show, bro. All right, save it.
I don't want to sound arrogant here, but you don't understand. And I mean, you don't get it. And you can't.
It's almost like a Duke Carolina thing, man. Same thing. You got to get those dubs.
I don't know. I don't know what to say to you people. I don't know what to say to you. You win the national the only prize that matters.
It's not the only one.
Bragging rights forever.
It's not the only one.
Bragging rights for the rivalry.
And when you've won many national championships, which Ohio State has, again, sounds arrogant, but it's the truth. That Michigan thing, I mean, they know a little bit about it around here with Carolina and Clemson. You pass that on to your kids. You hate that team.
Come on, Rob, pick a side, man.
Rashad agrees with Lonzo, and I don't know what the hell to do to. I don't know what to do. What do I say to you?
I would call that Thursday.
What do I say to you? Oh God. Welcome back to Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, on the website, thefanupstate.com, around the world on the Odyssey app. And, of course, don't forget to stream the show on YouTube at The Rob Brown Show, same on Twitch. And, of course, you can get at us on wherever you want to stream. Just search the show. You'll find it. Rashad Beard is one half of the host of the Panther Nation podcast. If you are a Panther fan and you want to talk Panther football, nowhere better to go than the Panther Nation podcast. What's up, big dog?
What's going on, man? Like you were saying, very eventful week. A lot to talk about, man. Let's get to it.
A lot to get to. The least surprising of which, Rashad Beard, was the tagging of Brian Burns. Even less surprising to me was that y'all went with the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means that he can go out there and talk to other teams. Should a team make an offer sheet, Carolina gets the opportunity to either match it or to go get 2 first-round draft picks in return for that offer sheet. I think this is the best way to handle it because either A, Brian Burns is going to learn that his market value is not what he thinks that it is, and maybe it makes it easier to sign him next year, or his market value is what he thinks that he is, and you guys get some draft picks back. This, to me, was probably the only way for Carolina to handle this.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. This is the only way that the Carolina Panthers can handle this situation without letting him walk essentially for nothing. And that's not acceptable. You can't let a franchise player like Brian Burns walk without nothing in return. It already sucks that he has to leave, right? But you want to at least get something in return if he has to go. So I agree that it is the only way we could have handled this. I do think this is a situation where the Panthers are saying, hey, Brian, like we love you. We made an offer for you, and that's what we think you're worth. If you think you're worth more than that, hey, go test the market. Go see what it is. And if you come back with it, hey, we'll see what we can do. But if not, then we'll try to get something else done here. I think both sides want each other. I think Brian Burns wants to be here long term, and I think the Carolina Panthers want him, but they don't want to overspend, which is the right thing to do. Like, you have to be careful. There's a new regime, right? You can't just, Brant Tillis, Dan Morgan have to lay the law down as far as what they're going to do and what they're going to pay. And you can't just say, all right, Brian, you name your price and we're going to pay it. That sets a precedent. So I understand them kind of putting their foot down. And if they're going to get a deal done, I hope it gets done. That $24 million cap hit that he's accounted for right now is a lot of money. Free agency opens up next week, and we have to there's not much we can do with the $24 million Brian Burns cap hit. So hopefully they get something done sooner rather than later. I don't want to see this drag out because I do think Brian Burns could eventually hold out, but I don't know. I think as of right now, this is one step, and I think it's the right step for the Carolina Panthers to do.
I think that fans are particularly vulnerable to this, Rashad. We sometimes forget because we are fans, which comes with fanaticism, with passion, etc. Dude, it's a business at the end of the day. And the football players, even the ones that we know and that we love, are employees at the end of the day. And the goal is money making at the end of the day, not winning Super Bowls. It's to win money. Am I right, Davis family? I think that this is basically the way for Carolina to say, we're going to find your market value. And either you're going to be right, and it's going to be what you think it is, and we're going to be compensated for it, or we're going to be right, you're going to find out you were wrong, and we're going to be compensated for it. The only true statement is that no matter which of those two options it turns out to be, both parties, even if Brian Burns wants to be a Panther, and even if the Panthers want Brian Burns to be there, even if they go their separate ways, even though it might sting emotionally, both parties come out better for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that is true here is the market is the market. The market is what somebody's willing to pay you, and if somebody is going to be out there and they're willing to pay a Brian Burns $30 million or whatever, then it is what it is. Then so be it. But the Panthers, again, they have a little bit of leverage. At the end of the day, Brian Burns has the bulk of the leverage because he could kind of drag this out. And it could go way into week one and he could hold out. So it's a big chess match going on between the two parties. And I'm just hopeful that somebody will end up, like you said, either he goes out there and somebody says, all right, we're going to pay you XYZ. We get the picks in return. One thing of note is that we can negotiate a smaller price tag, right? It doesn't have to be the 2 first-round picks. There have been guys traded for less than 2 first-round picks if we can agree to that. That's something that is an option. And I do think if someone is just going to say, hey, we'll give you a first-round pick and maybe a couple of day twos or a day 2 pick, I do think the Panthers could entertain that as well. So I just want to make sure that that's clear as well. We've seen people, traded for less than the 2 first-round picks. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting in the next couple of days to see what happens. But like you said, I think it's going to be a win-win for both parties when something does get done.
Rashad Beard with the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Hayden Hurst going to get the axe when the League New Year starts up here in just a bit over a week. Not a big shock, even though he doesn't come with the biggest contract on the team, Rashad. I think, unfortunately, as much as I wanted him to work out, in fact, I said last year going in, I thought Hayden Hurst was going to be a game-changing free agency pickup for Carolina. A rookie quarterback, a green quarterback's best friend should be a pass-catching tight end, but he just never really kind of took that next step. And then you add on the injury concerns after he had that bout with amnesia because of the hit he took to the noggin. As much as I hate it, as much as I wanted the guy to work out, once again, business decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely business decision, because if you look at it from a cap perspective, it wasn't much cap savings. This is just a matter, and this is what's interesting about when you take a look at these cuts. It's not about the money savings. It's about getting the right personnel in here, and that's the approach that I like. That's the approach that I'm seeing so far. I don't think this is going to be the last interesting cut that happens. I think the Panthers are really going to take a deep dive into this roster and say, all right, where can we get better? Because it's not just about having guys. We think Hurst is solid. I think Hurst is a solid player, but does he fit what Canales wants at the tight end position? I think there's going to be a bigger emphasis on the tight end position with the Carolina Panthers. Canales does a great job with tight ends, and one to keep an eye on is Noah Fant. Noah Fant from Seattle. They do have a connection with Canales, and so that's one to keep an eye on. They're going to look to upgrade that role. And I think Hayden Hurst is just a casualty of that. And I do want to say, I hope Hayden Hurst is healthy, right? He had a scary injury last year. He had the amnesia, like you said. And so I hope he's doing okay. And if he needs to retire, so be it. But, safety first. So I hope he's okay. And I wish him the best of luck. Thank you, Hayden Hurst.
Yep, that's it, man. I hate it. I don't like it. I wanted to see him succeed. But at the end of the day, it's a business. Speaking of Dave Canellis, Rashad Beard, he was at the Combine, had a quick little offside interview with a couple of media members. I think Sheena Quick was there asking some questions, did a great job. He said, look, there's no long-term plan to fix Bryce Young because Bryce Young ain't broken. The fix that needs to get made is to tailor the offense to him, to bring out his strengths and to let him shine, as opposed to ask him to change his game plan to fit into the offense. I know it was a lot of coach speak. I know it was a lot of kind of same old cliche stuff, but it's also what I needed to hear, right? Like, yes, I need you to come in and I need you to make the offense about Bryce Young, not the other way around. And before anybody gets up in arms, that's the NFL now, dude. Every offense gets tailored around the quarterback, not the other way around. What did you think about Canellis' short interview at the Combine about BY?
Yeah, I mean, Canales is doing a great job. Anytime he gets in front of a mic, he's saying the right things for the most part. So I like what he said. I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with Bryce Young. I just think that he had a lack of weapons. He had a lack of protection. There's a lot of things you can get to before you get to Bryce Young being the issue. Yes, he has his faults. No, he's not perfect. But I think if you upgrade everything around him, and this is what we've been saying, this whole offseason, and we love Brian Burns, we love some of these guys, but it's about protecting Bryce Young, and it's about putting Bryce Young in the best position to succeed. And if it's, for the sake of losing a Brian Burns, then so be it. It's all about getting, Bryce Young in the best position to succeed. And I think that that's what's going to happen, and getting the offense tailored around him, the quick passes, making sure he's getting rid of the ball accurately. I think that's what it's all about. And so, yes, he's saying the right things, and it's all about action. Again, I like what he's saying, but a lot has been said to Carolina Panther fans the past couple of years, the past 6 years to be specific. It's about action. We want to see it on the field. We want to see what you're saying in action. Now, hopefully we see that in OTAs and training camp coming up.
I want to throw this out. We were talking about the combine and about Dave Canellis, and I pointed out on Monday that with the comments that Dan Morgan's been making, it is the first time, at least since I moved here, Rashad, that it feels like you have a unified front office. It feels like you have a GM and head coach that are on the same page, versus when Fitterer was there and you had people calling out snitches get stitches about different coaching staff members. It felt like everybody was not even on the same page. They were in different damn books in different damn bookstores. And while we were having this thought, and I want your thoughts on that, Lonzo asked me a question. He said, where's Tepper in all this? What's Tepper been saying? And I came to the realization, I have not heard nor read a word from David Tepper since Dave Canellis got there. You a couple of weeks ago said, Rashad, that you thought that Dave Tepper's comments at the introductory press conference where he said, yo, I'm not part of this, this is not my show right now, were almost sarcastic towards the media. A, what have you heard from Dave Tepper since then? And B, are you maybe reconsidering that? Is there a chance maybe Tep has taken the step back you asked him to via incredible t-shirts last year?
Yeah, it's soon, right? It's a very, very early to make that determination, but it has been quiet. It has been quiet for David Tepper, and that's what we want to see. Now, come OTAs, come practices, will we see him on that golf cart riding out the practices, hovering, right? Will we start to see that? And I don't know. But all signs are pointing to him stepping back, which is what we wanted. But again, it's soon. Will he be in the draft room, right? We saw him in the third seat. You got the head coach, you got the GM, and David Tepper was right there. Will he be in the draft room saying, once the camp confidential comes out, draft confidential comes out, will he be right there saying, oh, this is what I think about it? I don't know. We'll see. It's too soon. Again, I'm interested too. I want to know what he's thinking about with this whole Brian Burns situation. You know what I mean? Because I think he probably likes Brian Burns as well, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen him. So I think it's a very interesting conundrum. I hope not to hear from him. I hope that, he does take the step back and he heard what we said. But I do agree with what you said earlier, in that Canellis and Morgan seem to be on the same page. And it's a unified front. They seem to be heading in the right direction. It's early. It's very early, but all signs point to us moving in the right direction. And I like it. I'm here for it.
That was my thought. I used some dumb analogy about how, if you got an army, they all got to be marching in the same direction or else it ain't going to work. And I felt like for the 4 years now that I have been here, and for the, I think 2 we've been talking to each other, Rashad, there's never been a point I've been able to say that before, that I truly felt the GM and the HC were on the same page. And again, it's easy to put up a facade right now. It's smokescreen season across the NFL. This is the point in time where everybody's doing their darndest to not give away anything, any of the conversations happening in the front room. But, you heard Dan Morgan use that. We got to find dudes who are dogs who want to be here. And what do you hear Canellis say at the combine? He said, look, the good news about being the new guy is I don't have emotional connections to anybody on this team. I can objectively look at this team, and if I look at the tape and I think somebody's not busting it, or I think somebody's not living up to their hype or doing their job, I can cut them, and it doesn't hurt me none. I haven't built that connection yet. Man, it just sounded like it fell in line.
Yeah, and I think it goes with their actions too, right? Their actions are speaking. Look at the whole Brian Burns situation, right? They're not just when you hear Dan Morgan talking about, the guys on the team, we got to re-sign Frankie Louvu. we got to re-sign Derrick Brown. Those guys got the dog. But then you hear him not speaking as highly about Brian Burns. Those things are, starting to align, right? And so when you see us not jumping at the bit to re-sign Brian Burns, they're speaking with their actions, right? Their actions are definitely backing what they're saying up. So I like it. I like what they're going. They're in the right direction. And hopefully we'll see. It's very early though. It is very early. When the rubber hits the road, we'll see if they keep that same energy, or will they kind of say, all right, we gotta get these guys around. We got to keep the same guys. We'll see. I'm interested, just like you are. It's going to be very interesting to see the next couple of weeks.
Rashad Beard, Panther Nation Podcast, joins us every Thursday at this time on the Rob Brown Show to talk Panther football. Keeping an eye on the free agency period. Now, of course, we got 9 tags handed out across the league. A couple of receivers, including Marvin Harrison Jr. and T. Higgins, both caught a tag that obviously diminishes an already weak free agency market. We talked a little bit about this last week before the tags got finalized, Rashad, and I think I'm even more bunkered down in the thought that you're going to have to address wide receivers in free agency, and frankly, in the draft and the offensive line in free agency. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because to me, if I got to pick one of those two groups to be a group of veteran guys, I'd rather be the offensive line in front of Bryce. And if I got to pick one of those two groups to be young guys, I'd rather it be wide receivers that can grow and develop that chemistry organically along with Bryce. I'm solidified. This team needs to be looking OL across free agency right now. Where do you kind of stand on that after the tags got handed out?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. I definitely think they're going to go veteran offensive lineman. That helps Bryce Young. Again, that's a reoccurring theme that we've been saying for weeks. Whatever it takes to get Bryce Young healthy and upright and making good decisions, that's what they're going to do. And I think they're going to spend some of that free agency money on a veteran interior offensive lineman. Again, if you kind of listen to what they're saying, they're going to keep Icky at left tackle. We firmly believe that Moton, and there's some rumblings about his contract, but I believe Moton is a forever Panther. He's very reliable. So I think Moton's going to be around for a while. Those bookends are there. Now, what happens on the interior, we got to shuffle. There's been some smoke about Bradley Bozeman potentially getting shifted or moved around because of the scheme change. So we'll see what happens there. But I agree, interior offensive line in free agency, and then drafting a wide receiver. If you take a look at the combine meetings for the Carolina Panthers, we interviewed seven wide receivers, and they all seem to fit in that range of late first round to about third round. So I believe you're going to see the Panthers take a wide receiver with that second or third round pick. There's a lot. This wide receiver class is extremely deep. You're going to be able to find a talented wide receiver somewhere. And I agree with what you're saying, is that, I think drafting a wide receiver and him building that chemistry with Bryce Young from the jump is very, very important. So we've got some veteran guys. Adam Thielen's is still around. Hopefully he stays around. You got Mingo, who's still developing. And who knows what's going to happen with Terrace Marshall, but you've got some talent there in wide receiver. I think you can add a more talented wide receiver, a guy like a Keon Coleman, a guy like a Xavier Leggett. If you get one of those guys in the building that could potentially come in and develop into wide receiver one, you got something brewing here. I think that's what they're going to do.
Rashad Beard, host the Panther Nation podcast, joins us every Thursday. Welcome to the PNP Army, who, by the way, I mentioned the shirt. What do you know? The link goes up to go get one of the step back shirts. Hopefully, Rashad, I've never said this before. Hopefully, y'all don't sell a damn shirt next year because they worked this time around. All right. I hope there's not a ton of inventory laying around, man.
Yeah, no, I hope we don't have to hear much from Tepper. And I think he heard us. So we'll see.
Yes, we will. Rashad Beard joins us every Thursday at 8:20 to talk Panther football. You can follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to their YouTube channel, Panther Nation Podcast. Make sure you're liked up and subscribe. My guy, appreciate you, big dog. See you next week.
Absolutely. Let's get it.
You got it. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation Podcast. We step away. We come back. We finish up hour number 3. We got Fight Club talking a little pro wrestling, boxing, and MMA coming up in the next hour. A little more football. Maybe I'll throw some more shade at Nick Saban. We'll see how it goes. The Rob Brown Show carries on after this. It is the Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys, got to step away for one more live read, and we'll come right back. Don't go anywhere.